Hi, Gwenny.
Hi, darling. You look great.
Thanks. So do you. I like your you guys got your things on.
I feel like I'm ready to do anything.
I know. I feel like, well, actually, this is what I wrote about in practice. So.
AJ said she's having trouble. It says she's a viewer.
Tell her to where she at. If that maybe record your screen, AJ.
If she doesn't hop on in time, we're just gonna bump her and we'll go CM AJ Lily so she can still hop on.
Okay.
And or if she doesn't hop on at all, we're gonna winners adjust.
Should I go put mine on? I feel like I'm the oddball right now.
Yeah. Great.
On display.
How do we know when we're live?
We're recording right now. I just think that we should probably wait until like 1 minute.
Oh, so people can see us if they hop in here right now?
Yeah.
Hey, everyone.
I think and you know what? I'm at the top right. I can see 6 viewers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I see. Oh, gosh.
You guys can put any questions that you might have for us, whether it's has to do with athlete and ownership or just the league in general and our experiences. We're willing to answer whatever you guys want to ask.
Good stuff.
Mm-hmm. So we're at 8. Time a little bit more, and we'll get going. Anyone? Okay.
Ooh, 14, 15? Wow.
Hi, everyone that's joining. We're going to give a few more minutes for people to roll before we dive into what we've got for you.
AJ! Wow, I was getting stressed.
You look good.
Thanks, girl.
All right, well, I say we get going just because we have until 35. So, hey, everyone, welcome to Athletes and Ownership Conversation. We have an All-American lineup here, literally, which is pretty cool. We have AJ Andrews, LSU All-American, and the first ever women Gold Glove winner. Aleshia Ocasio, University of Florida All-American, and Sam Fischer, LMU All-American, and national team member, Lili's part of Team Puerto Rico. And I went to the University of Oregon. My name is Gwen Svekis. I taught there, had some fun. So we're going to get into athletes and ownership here. And I think this is really cool that you have this group of 4 because while all of us are experiencing similar things under the athletes and umbrella in terms of ownership, we also have very different experiences in what it means to be an owner in this league. So I think we're gonna go right into it here. We're gonna start with AJ. AJ has a really cool story of her own. So I'm gonna let AJ take it away. She's gonna walk through experience as an owner within Athletes Unlimited, her podcast, which if you guys haven't listened to, is really cool. And we'll talk about that herself. And then some of the factors that brought her to Athletes Unlimited and made her wanna commit.
Absolutely. So thank you guys. I'm ready to be here. And as Gwen was talking, she talked about Hard-Headed, the podcast. So what is really exciting, I feel, about Athletes Unlimited is this is truly a league where they want the athletes to flourish. Our ideas, everything that we put in place that we want to see happen, our perfect league per se, is really what they are doing their best to make come true. And so when you think about a league ran by athletes, right? You think about athletes having a lot of control. It's in the sense that there's really no other league where athletes have so much have so much influence on how the league is going to partake every single day. And for me, that was really the most exciting factor, to not only be able to be heard with my ideas and my thoughts and things that I really think could help softball as a whole grow, but also the fact that I was truly trusted that Athletes Unlimited was going to do all that they could in order to try to see those ideas through. And one of the ideas is hard-headed. So really having a podcast that's bringing you the amazing experiences, conversations with some of the best softball players, athletes in the entire world, to see how they have been hard-headed in their pursuit of success. And it's really an opportunity to hear every position player, every different athlete, how it is that they not only were successful in their personal positions, but just successful in this sport of failure. There's no other sport really where you can fail 7 out of 10 times and still be considered a great athlete, right? I don't know if there's anywhere else that is truly something that can be done. So we're playing a really tough game, this game of softball, and this opportunity to truly be able to tell those stories or hear the stories as well of those athletes, how they were able to overcome failure to truly reach the levels of success that they have in this sport. It's truly phenomenal to hear. I've learned a lot. I'm not a pitcher, but I'm tuned into the mind of some pitchers now, not a first baseman. There's a lot of different positions where you might think that if I'm not a certain position, maybe this isn't the one I want to listen to. But no, there's so many different things that you can learn from every single person that has a chance to speak and come on the podcast. So excited for everyone to listen if you haven't listened yet. And for me, Athletes Unlimited just continues to really just break the bounds of what it is to be an athlete as well as more than an athlete. We're all more than athletes. We all have to go on at some point. And I think Athletes Unlimited is really helping us set ourselves up for that level of success post softball. So really excited to be here. And I think that that's one of the major benefits that you won't see in a lot of other leagues.
Absolutely. And I think that, I've been in this venture a lot longer than our whole group has, but AJ was one of the first ones to hop on immediately. And obviously you're a really visible face in this sport. So it was cool to see someone out the gate who had so much recognition in our sport and had so much respect among the softball community to sign on so early. So I think it's just, like you said, a total testament to what they've built and what they have backing the words that they say to us. They want us involved in decision making, and they have, to a T, had us involved in that decision making process, which I think is really cool. And I think it segues us perfectly to Sam. So Sam, you're on the player executive committee, which, we're on that together. We have a lot of fun together, but I want you to take this time and explain your version of ownership, because the PEC is a total different experience from what the player group as a whole gets to see. And maybe we could go into our player group calls and then maybe our specific player executive committee calls. And then after that, how do you define ownership, and what does that look like for you as an athlete within this league, outside this league, just wherever you want to take that?
I think actually to start off with the word, as an athlete, I always related ownership to accountability. And it was something that I really wanted to make sure that I was always holding myself accountable and taking ownership over what I was doing. If it was a good game, bad game, practice, workouts, that I was owning what I was doing. So I think that translates directly into our role on the committee, because not only are we taking ownership of ourselves, but now we're really taking ownership over a league, over something that we could develop and that can come from the players' minds. And I think that that's been probably the best thing for me, is that I've been out of college now for 8 years. So I've been doing this longer than I was playing in college. So it's an interesting transition, going from just being a player to now being a player as well as somebody who might be in charge of a little bit more. But just being able to have our input received. I know that so many of us playing pro and playing internationally have a lot to offer as far as input or ideas. And now there's an ear. Now there's someone listening, and someone not only listening, but figuring out, how can we put this into the works? How can we make this happen? How can we turn this talk into action? And I think just as a whole, it's all about ownership. And I'm so happy to be a part of it, especially because that's something that was always important to me has been important to me and still is owning yourself as a player, owning your actions, owning what you do, owning what you say. Don't just talk about it, be about it. So now we're in a position that we can talk about it and we can be about it as well. So, so that part has been, it's been an amazing experience. And I mean, we haven't even played a game yet. So when it all comes together and we can see what we've created, it's just going to be such an awesome thing that I'm so excited about.
I think it'd be cool also to dive into your experience as a member of the player executive committee. I know you came on, now it's been like
it's been a while. Yeah.
And I think it'd be cool for you to sort of just give a glimpse to our group. We're up to 74 viewers, and what those meetings are like, and what, how involved John, Jonathan, and the rest of the team really is in what we're building, and sort of give a glimpse into that.
Yeah, we have weekly calls. And honestly, I think other than today, our shortest call was maybe 2 hours. Like that, we go into detail about things that honestly, as a player, I didn't even really think about before because I just show up and play. But we have conversations about everything. John and Jonathan and Sherry and everyone involved they all ask important questions that really make us think about what we want as a player and how we want to be treated and how we want to see things going forward. Even something simple as how do we want to work on, a tie between players? How can we decide this? And then we go through that conversation and we get to the nitty gritty of everything. I really don't think, I don't know about you, Gwen, but I don't think there's been any stone left unturned when it comes to figuring things out, because we can go off and start on something and be like, oh, I thought of this. Oh, I thought of that. And then just throwing things out. It's been such a good environment to be a part of because everybody asks questions. And I think that that's huge in understanding where we're coming from as players, and then also understanding where they're coming from as the leaders as well of the company in general. So they're very interested in what we have to say and learning about what we've been through as players, what we like, what we dislike, what we would like to see changed. And just opening up that conversation has been the most important part to even get to this point of playing and getting all of these athletes. I mean, if it wasn't something that looked promising, I don't think these amazing athletes would have signed on for it. So I think it's a huge thing, a huge start to ask the questions and then to be open to listening to them and understanding where we're coming from. So that part is, I think, the key in our conversations. And it's also very fun. We also do have some giggles, which is, I think, essential to any conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. You're spot on. And I'm really fun. I'm really interested now, Lily, to segue to you and hear your experience as an owner within this league, because you have a different experience than the three of us and different from the most of the rest of the league. We have 3 players on our racial equity and inclusion working group, and you are the chair of it. So I think it'd be really cool for you to give a glimpse into that process, how that came about, how passionate you are about that, and then further, how do you feel like Athletes Unlimited as a league has supported athlete ownership in this building of our league in that process?
Yeah, Gwen. So I am part of the racial inequity working group along with 2 other players, and it's been a really fun process, just coming up with recommendations and having 4 different areas to work through of community, fan engagement, youth and community, and internal policies and procedures. It really came about, Athletes Unlimited, their primary focus was on gender equity. But obviously after the murders of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, we came up with a statement, and we also wanted to stand by our statement and come up with an action plan in order to make change and make sure that our community was equitable, and we were, staying with our statement, like I said before. But it's been a fun experience, and you guys killed it. But like you said, Sam, like no stone has been unturned. And as somebody who's not a part of the player executive committee, I feel that too, and I know that the other players can attest to that too. I can't tell you how many surveys we filled out, how many different conversations that we've had. In order for athletes to have ownership and for that to be successful, our executive committee has to buy in. And and ensure us that we're being heard, ensure us that our visions and what we want to happen, our needs are being respected and they're being implemented. And I felt that every step of the way. But in this working group, we've talked for 6 weeks and have implemented a bunch of different things through and through. But it's been a great experience because I know that the things that we want to be implemented are being implemented. We're doing things while we're here in the bubble, and we're having actually a couple of people come and talk to us about our life experiences so that we can build community and leadership through and through. And we're going to continue those conversations while we're here in the bubble so that we can build that community and those bonds between all 56 players here in the bubble. But I'm really excited to be part of this league, and I'm with you, Sam, about ownership and accountability. I feel like those go hand in hand, and I really felt that, and that's what sold me into signing with Athletes Unlimited. So I'm really excited to be a part of this inaugural season.
Thanks for sharing that. I think that's something that differentiates us. There are certain things that differentiate us, but I think that that's something that I think this league specifically has done that is so far-fetched different from other leagues, but is necessary. And I'm so excited. We have an action plan, and I'm excited for our panels that you guys are putting together to educate and help the whole athlete group as a whole be a tight-knit community and just be better as athletes and to challenge the world to listen to us and hear what we have to say on and off the field. So I'm really excited for that. And just to give you guys sort of a glimpse into my version of ownership within Athletes Unlimited, in October of last year, I flew out to New York and met John and Jonathan, and they just had this vision that was just like so crazy and innovative, and I was sold from the start. So I hopped on the Tuesday calls, which was our now what our PEC calls are that Sam is now on. And so we did that every week up until literally today. We shifted it to Wednesdays instead of Tuesdays. And I dove headfirst into this because I believe that softball has the viewership. We have the fandom. You can see that at the NCAA level. It just hasn't translated over to the professional side. And I think that when I met John and Jonathan and saw their vision and understood that they were businessmen and they knew how to run business and they knew how to make profits and whatever, and they wanted to finally invest in our sport. And that was so different from what we had experienced up until this point. So I dove in head first and I started consulting for them, the PEC. And then what's really cool is I think it was March or April now, I reached out to John. Hey, listen, this is what I want to do full time. Like, I love this vision. I love what this company stands for. And I want to work full time for you. I want to make this league better for all women's sports, all sports in general. I want to give this opportunity to as many women that want to play professional ball, whether it's softball, volleyball, or whatever sports come next, as long as they can. So I went through an interview process with John, and I got hired on full time as the manager of player care and coordination. So it's really cool. I get to wear 3 different hats within Athletes Unlimited. So I'm the manager of player care and coordination, on the player executive committee, and a player. And then all of us as a whole, and this is a little bit more nitty gritty into the economics of the world, but we all are actual stakeholders in Athletes Unlimited, which I think is really cool. If anyone has questions about that, feel free to drop it into the chat. But basically every game that we play, we accumulate 100 units of Athletes Unlimited softball year one, essentially stock. It's not stock, but essentially, like, those are units. And what's really cool about this is that John and Jonathan understand that we may not see the profits in year one that year 20 might see, but they wanted to make sure that we are represented 20 years down the line when Athletes Unlimited takes off. They want us, the trailblazers, the ones that said yes from the get-go, to feel rewarded and to be represented in those units. So that's really cool. So on top of everything that the 4 of us and our whole player group get to be involved in. We are also actual owners in the Athletes Unlimited business, which is really, really cool. So that was a lot of talking. I don't know if any of you four have anything else you want to say on ownership or anything else in general. I know we're about 2 weeks out from starting. We have some really cool things going on in our little bubble shield. And yeah, how else are you all thinking about building your personal brands beyond this? AJ, I think this is a great question for you before you jump off. Answer this and then you can get out of here.
Yes, I think that as far as building our own personal brands, I just think it's really important to be authentic to yourself and just really feel free to showcase who you are and what it is that you're doing in order to be an athlete, and also put your passions outside of sports. I don't know if people realize just how much people are interested in that beyond what you do on the field. People really want to see how you are off the field. So everyone is different. Everyone has different passions. And I really think that as far as me personally building my own brand, it's just showcasing what those passions are. Yes, I have to go, but I love everything. And I'm so excited for everyone to watch, everyone that's watching now, to watch us play in the next 2 weeks. So thank you guys for all listening.
Awesome. Thanks, AJ. All right, we have about 10 more minutes here. Okay, we have one more question, or we have another question here. From an ownership point of view, does this apply across the whole league, all sports, or does your unit pertain to the sport you play? So it's all units across all sports. So, but they are divided among sport and year. So this year, every game that each of us plays, we're going to accumulate 1,000 units for softball year one. And so when the volleyball league launches, which for those of you who don't know is in Nashville this February, those women are going to accumulate volleyball year one. But I think what's really cool in the ownership piece of Athletes Unlimited is they want us all to profit from being a part of Athletes Unlimited. So for example, we have really cool t-shirts that are for each of us in the store. And if you haven't checked them out, go ahead and check them out and buy your favorite player's t-shirt because they're really cool. But so each of us aren't getting a share of the t-shirt that my name is on, but a portion of that is going into a giant pot. And then after all this, across all sports, we're all going to get a portion of that pot. So it's a similar concept when it comes to the units, which is really, really cool. That Jonathan, the rest of Athletes Unlimited, everything we've built is so representative across all athletes of all sports. It's not just, the top 1 or 2 athletes in every sport getting represented and getting paid out on. So I think that's really cool. We're all going to be sharing in what we're building. Okay, who owns your health and performance data? I don't know the answer to that question. I'm sorry. Who can control who has access to that info during season and beyond? I don't know the answer to that, but Sam, you want to talk about hit tracks and how cool it is we have hit tracks in our batting cages?
I can say that. I was thinking I have a Whoop and I have a Fitbit, so that's kind of what I was thinking with tracking stuff. But I own these myself. But no, that we have a hit tracks cage set up where you go and you're in the cage and it tells you so much about your hitting. About you're in a cage, but you can get an idea of what your hitting would be like on the field. It shows you trajectory. It shows, that's a hard word to say, trajectory. It's, the speed off the bat. It shows the angle of the ball, everything. And it gives you an idea of how you can improve your game on the field, even though you're within the cage. So that part's really cool. And I know a lot of people really love to see that because, when you're in a small cage, you don't always get an idea of how the ball is going to look on the field. Might really be hitting it. So that part's really cool, having the hit track set up for us to get a game feel without actually having to be on the field.
Yeah, very cool. And also I think something else that's important for us to highlight is in differentiation between Athletes Unlimited and other leagues that we've all participated in is we have our Sparta Science Athlete Innovation Lab. So Sparta Science is another technology that we're doing testing on to keep track of, the way our bodies are recovering and all that jazz that's in the technology world. That's way too smart for me to explain. But we also have what's called the Athlete Innovation Lab, where we're going to get to try out recovery tools, recovery, nutrition pieces, those kinds of things that's available for us to use at our own leisure. So I think that's another really cool piece that is different from anything any of us have ever experienced, is we have so many resources that are there to support us in being better athletes, better competitors, and therefore better representatives of Athletes Unlimited. Does AU cover your health insurance for the year or just for the season? Just for the season and the month following the season, really cool. I think the month following the season is the part that's cool, because if I get injured in my last day, knock on wood, I now have time to use that health insurance to get whatever treatment I would need in the next month. Oh, Sam, check out this comment we have in the chat. Our family owns a few 52. Happy to contribute to all of you amazing women and support each and every one of you. Sam is number 52, so that's awesome. And I'm
Parents.
Grandpa. Awesome.
Hi, Grandma and Grandpa.
Does anyone else have any questions for us? Oh gosh, awesome. Who do we talk about corporate partnerships with Athletes Unlimited? Jimmy, I'm going to get that question answered for you, but I'm not going to be the one to do it. But I will get that answered for you through the chat. Kelly, Lily, what are you doing for in-game diversity and equality matters?
So our media team has been working really hard and honestly have been doing a great job even before we had these working group meetings and amplifying our voices. With COVID, it's, obviously we can't have fans, but we're accessible and we want to make sure that our fans know that we're accessible and that you guys are able to hear and see our stories. So our media team working overtime and making sure that we have written pieces, that we're doing interviews, that all of our athletes are represented, and that includes people of color and our Black athletes. We're working on doing some Spanish language content so that we can reach a broader audience, and also to represent our Latinx players. We have a few players who play on the Mexican national team. I am a member of the Puerto Rican national team. But really just amplifying our voices. There's a lot of things that we want to do and that we will do. And, like I said, COVID has kind of put a halt to some things, but we're doing our best in order to have representation for our Black and people of color so that our fans and our audience are able to see them.
I think something else that's really cool that it's not necessarily specifically diversity and equality, but it does go into that realm, is our community engagement, our ability to represent our nonprofits. So I think something really cool is we all had the opportunity to select a nonprofit that we wanted to play for, and the equivalent of 50% of our individual player bonus at the end of the year is going to be donated to that nonprofit. So it's not specifically in-game diversity or equality, but we do have several organizations that we're representing and uplifting, and that we will be donating to that dip into those realms. But I think that's one of the coolest pieces of Athletes Unlimited. And another differentiator is that we got to represent different nonprofits that touched us or spoke to us or that we wanted to uplift. And I think that's really cool. Okay. Question: are there any fan ownership elements too, or are units restricted to? So in terms of units, I'm not sure if there is anything for fans, but we do have a membership program that we are launching today, and that I think John and Kelly are going to be talking about in the other breakout session. So I think that that's something that we are now finally opening the doors to, and is really cool for fans to get involved and to be a part of what we're building. So be sure to check that out. Go to that breakout session right after this, which is probably a pretty good segue here in a couple minutes, and get in on that if you haven't yet. And that's going to be circulating around our social media. So if not, just make sure you plug into auprosports.com or our social media channels, and we'll have a lot more on our membership program. But I think that'd be a great way to engage with us and to help us with what we're building. Will we get to hear more about different specific nonprofits that are being supported by athletes? Yeah, absolutely. Jenny, thanks for the question. I think that this is something that we're really excited about. Is we have media days in the next couple days where we're going to be able to share our stories and why our nonprofits are so important to us. And that's another way, like Lily was saying, that Athletes Unlimited has given us the opportunity to uplift our voices and the things that we believe in. So yeah, you'll be getting a lot more of that. I'm really excited for the different passions to come out, because people are really, really, really bought in to their nonprofits and really proud to represent the different organizations that we have. But we have that on auprosports.com. We have the list of all of the nonprofits that are being represented and who is representing them. But yeah, in terms of specific stories, that will be coming down the pipe pretty soon here. Awesome. Well, this was a ton of fun for me. I don't know, Lily, Sam, if you guys have anything else you want to say before we pass this back off to the next session.
I think this was great. A lot of great questions. And I think something that's super important that I've learned through this whole process, especially, you know, number one, being with Athletes Unlimited, but number two, being on the PEC, is learning how to use my voice. I knew I had one, and now I feel like I'm really learning how to use it and how to voice what I want and what I need, and not be afraid to do that. I think that that's been a really huge thing for me in this whole experience, which translate not just as a softball player or in Athletes Unlimited, but in my regular life as well. So that part, I think, has been really cool for me.
I just want to.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for the time. Oh, Lily, go ahead. Sorry.
I know. I just wanted to thank everybody for watching. I've been in pro softball as Sam Fischer and Gwen has as well. But, you know, the amount of visibility and coverage that we've already had thus far without even starting the season, I think tallies more than I've had in the past 2 years of playing pro softball. So I think that just it's a testament to how well Athletes Unlimited is doing to amplify our voices and make sure that we're being seen and heard for, you know, young women who want to play softball and see us playing softball, and for our fans like you guys watching us and staying tuned. So just appreciate you guys coming on here. And like Sam said, these are some great questions. And if you guys have any other questions, we're more than willing to answer.
So everyone now go back to the main stage, and we're going to have a closing Q&A.